What's going on, everybody? Super Bass here. So now you've installed the do-boot patcher, you've updated your kernel, and you updated your RAM disk, and now the app's ready to go. So we're going to move forward and go ahead and stick another ROM on our external SD card. So we're at the home screen right here of the app, and the first thing you're going to want to do before you even mess with this is download another ROM. So for this video I downloaded one of the Carbon ROM builds, and I also downloaded a GApps package, and I stuck it on my external SD card. So there's my Carbon, and there's my GApps, okay? So what you want to do is anytime you install anything on this app, you're going to need to patch it. And patching it basically means it's going to create a copy of whatever zip file you choose and add the necessary files in there to let the phone know that the ROM is on the SD card. So what we want to do is we want to go to patch zip file. So this is where your settings are, okay? So you want to make sure that your device is the correct device, and we don't want to do a primary ROM upgrade right now. What we want to do is put a ROM on our external SD card right here. So you're going to want to click that, and then you're going to want to create a name for it. So I'm going to write Carbon. Okay. And now it wants us to find the zip that we're trying to patch. So I use, ES File Explorer. You can choose whichever one you want. We got to change it to our external SD card, and we're going to go find Carbon right here. We're going to use the normal one, and we're just going to tap to patch. Sorry. And depending on the size of the zip you're patching, obviously the overall progress is going to be quicker or slower. And I'll show you that next when we patch GApps, because it's a lot smaller. Okay, so now it's successfully patched the file, and what I want to do is find my GApps now. See how there's two Carbon builds now? Okay. So now we're still going to make it on the external slot. It's still going to be under the Carbon folder, so we're going to patch the GApps. And see how much faster this one went? It's a lot smaller. So now you successfully patched the ROM and you successfully patched the GApps packages. And the way you can confirm that is go to your File Explorer, and there should be two GApps, and then there should be two Carbons. So there's the GApps Carbon, and here is the Carbon, okay? So it created two copies of that, so keep aware of that space-wise for your external SD card. So going back to the app, we have two patch zip files now, so now we just want to install them basically. In a nutshell, anything you're going to install under this ROM tab, it needs to be patched first. So you can't just install anything without patching it, without clicking here. So, when we want to click that, click the plus sign, and it's going to want us to find the patched files that we patched. So what you want to do is we're going to install the ROM first, obviously. We want to keep the location. It's just asking if you want to change it or not. We don't. We just set it up. And this is what's really cool. After it installs the ROM, you can also have it flash something else like TWRP would. So we're going to go find GApps. keep the location. And You can install exposed if you want, but I'm not going to for the sake of the video. Also, something really cool is if you hold it, you can reorganize what flashes first. So obviously we want the ROM to flash first, so we're going to put that on the top, and then it's going to be followed by GApps. So once you have that all set up, ready to go, you just click the check button. We're going to allow access again. And now it's going to go ahead and set up and create the directories, and then it's going to go ahead and install the ROM, and then it's going to go ahead and install GApps for you all in one swoop. So this whole thing takes a couple minutes, guys. For the sake of the video, I'm going to pause it. Just take note that it's 12:39, and then I'll go ahead and come back when it's finished. Hey guys, I'm going to bring you back now because it's starting the Carbon install. You can tell how long it took by watching the time difference to start. But you can follow it in real time. So it finished flashing Carbon ROM successfully, and now it's moving on to the second patch zip we patched, which was GApps, and you can tell right here. So now it's installing that. Done. Successfully completed 2 of 2 actions. Cool. So the first action was installing the ROM. Second action was installing GApps. So now you click back, and your ROMs should have 2 of them there now. Your primary ROM and your Carbon ROM. And there they are. You now successfully have 2 ROMs on one phone. So the way you swap between ROMs is, see this little green checkbox right there? That means you're selected on Carbon ROM. If you want to stay on primary, you just select primary successfully. But I want to show you guys Carbon ROM, so we're going to check Carbon. Successfully switched, and then you click the menu and you click reboot. Now when we reboot our phone, it should boot up in the Carbon. Well, it will boot up in the Carbon. And there's the Carbon boot screen. This is a very cool feature of our phone right now because we have 3 ROMs out right now, plus the stock ROM. Eventually we might get Omni ROM. So that's a lot of ROMs to play with to try and figure out which one you want the most as your daily driver. So SHM really kicked it out the park right now when he gave us the ability to install multiple ROMs now. It's awesome. And you're not limited at 2. You're just limited at the size of your external SD card, basically. I'm going to buy a 128 gig this week. I'll let you guys know how it works in the phone. But my ultimate goal really is to have a stable pack build and then have Carbon as my secondary ROM, or vice versa, just whichever one takes off. And then I'll also have CyanogenMod as my third ROM, just to say that it's on there, just in case anything great happens. I can flash over to it and see what it looks like. So it started. It's got 95 apps, so I don't know if you guys do this a lot, but 95 apps tells me that the GApps packages was installed successfully. Without the GApps packages, I think it's got like 70 or 80 apps. So we're gonna let this boot. Then we can give a thanks to SHM for helping us port this over to our phone, Divine Bliss helping us troubleshoot it, MT2 user helping us troubleshoot it, and me, Superbass 311, for literally shooting it. This video should answer a lot of questions. You could really just follow along since I'm doing it in real time. That way you don't miss nothing. It's pretty simple, easy. Really, the big things to remember is once you install it, set your kernel right away, and then after your kernel's set under your ROM, go to your ROM settings and make sure your RAM disk is set. Those two things are the only thing you need to do. After that, there should be no problem. Just remember, everything you install under your ROM setting, it needs to be patched. And voila. So I'm going to skim through this real quick. Okay, so now we're on the pack build, and I skipped through my settings. Obviously you're going to want to set yours up. I just didn't for the video. And there's the Play Store right there, so you can tell we have our GApps. So the first thing you do once you get past the initial startup screen is you're going to want to install the do-boot patcher again, because that's how you interact with your ROM and interact with your primary ROM. And it should be on your external SD card, because we did that in like the first 2 minutes of the video. So we can just open up the stock file explorer, and we're going to want to go to our external SD card, and down at the bottom you should see dual boot patcher. Let's go ahead and go to our settings and enable unknown sources, click back and do it again, and it will work. I accept. App is installed. We're going to go ahead and click done. We're going to click home, and we're going to just put it on the screen just in case. Okay, so now we're in Carbon ROM. We have dual boot patcher. We're going to want to go ahead and open it. And it should look identical to, you know, the settings in your primary ROM, because it's sharing everything. And there you go. Okay? So now we're on Carbon, the green checkbox right there, and well, that's really it. So now we're on Carbon. Okay, so now say you're playing around and you want to get back, you know, you're done with Carbon, you want to get back to your primary ROM. The way you swap in between ROMs is you go ahead and click Dual Boot Patcher. Oop, I clicked the wrong button. Dual Boot Patcher. And we're going to go ahead and go to our ROMs. And we're going to want to pick the ROM we want. You might have more than two. I want my primary ROM back. Notice how the green check mark moves up. Successfully switched. Now all you do is you just reboot your phone from the menu, and pack ROM should boot. And there you go. So now you've set up the Do Boot app. You've got your phone ready to be flashed with different apps. You've installed another ROM with GApps, and now you're flashing back to your primary ROM. And voila. So now we're back in pack ROM. So now you wanted to go back into Carbon ROM. All you would have done is go to Do Boot Patcher, click ROMs, select Carbon, and then hit restart or reboot, and you're back in Carbon again. It's that simple, guys. Okay? Hope this video helps.